Welcome to the Fourth and Fast Break podcast. I'm your humble delight and always blessed host, Joshua McCain. And on today's Wednesday, August the 26th edition of the Fourth and Fast Break podcast, I'll be breaking down two subjects that I've been hearing about the last couple days. One, there is the college football subject of players trying to return to college football and they've already been signed by NFL teams or been playing in NFL preseason games. And then also there's this sparked a debate. Kevin Durant talked about it last week, but Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter kind of re-emphasized it. Does MVPs hold more weight than championships? So we'll get into that. So I want to start off today with the college football and players trying to come back to the college football from the NFL, and they had made a ruling that they were going to do the 5-and-5 rule. So now players that came into college automatically get to play 5 years if they want to. So they brought this ruling down after the season had ended. They just brought the ruling down about a month ago. And now players who have made it to NFL and made it to the NBA or went undrafted, they're trying to come back. Players like Tommy Castellanos, who hasn't committed, but they're saying he, most likely going to commit to Texas Tech. Xavier Harris, the D lineman from the Ole Miss last year, they're talking about he's coming back to go to LSU. Daquan Wright, who is now committed to LSU he played with the Cleveland Browns, just got cleared waivers, and he's committed to LSU to play. Junior, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, came from Notre Dame. I think it's Tuliaki, I believe, how you pronounce it. Tula Mayaki is how you pronounce it. But he's coming from Notre Dame, going to LSU, per sources. Then DQ Smith from South Carolina. All these guys made it to NFL. All these guys are made it to NFL teams, been in NFL camps, and now they're trying to come back to the NCAA to play football because they were saying they sued the NCAA saying, well, this rule wasn't put in and we had already left, and it's not. They're basically saying it's not fair that this rule gets put in instead of putting it in January when the season ended. You put it all the way in July, and July and August, and we're already gone, because I'm pretty sure some of these players would have said, I'm not going to the NFL because, one, my draft stock is not what I want. Two, I may not even get drafted. So I can go back to college football, make another, couple $100,000 for one more time, just in case I don't make it out to the NFL. And the players are basically saying it's, not fair. But yesterday, the Big Ten, they came out and said, well, they won't allow players to come back and play. If you made it to an NFL team, if you made it in an NBA camp, signed by a team, WNBA, whatever it is, we're not going to allow you to use that ruling that the NCAA just put down by the 5-and-5 rule to come back and play, for in our conference. And then late last night, the SEC had a meeting, and they decided as well they would not let players who went to the NFL, got signed by NBA team, WNBA, whatever, to come back to college on their own apparel. So the SEC, they voted 16-0, so it was very unanimous with that. And they're basically saying, previously declared for the NFL, NBA, or WNBA, and did not appropriately withdraw, which means withdraw before they got drafted, or by the time the withdrawal period ended, then they can't come back. And even if they've been listed on the NFL or other professional league, so any Canadian league, anything, like if you've been a pro on a team, on a roster, you was on that roster, you didn't even have to make the final roster. They're not gonna allow you to come back. And then we know Daquan Wright, the tight end that got cut by the Cleveland Browns, played at Ole Miss last year. He's committed to LSU. So And Lane Kiffin, came out and said, I'm taking in, I'm going to take in the players. If they want to come here, I'm going to take them in. And he believes, and to be honest with you, he's kind of right. A lot of people would do this. If a guy is coming from the NFL and he's interested in coming to your team, you're most likely going to take him. Like, we may not like the rulings, we may not like how, it sounds or whatever, but you're going to take the player, because he's most likely a player that can come on your team and play, right then. But of course, we know, like, let's be honest with you, it's not fair because guys have been there all spring, all summer, all fall camp. Season starts, week 0 starts this week. Officially, the season starts next week. They're thinking they're tight end 1, at LSU, or tight end 2 because they have a really good tight end at LSU. But tight end 2, thinking they're gonna get a lot of plays, get a lot of snaps. And now Daquan Wright, he comes back from the NFL, and now he gets to take my spot basically. So now my reps are gone. I'm not gonna play as much as I thought. Like, this dude's in the NFL, and now he just gets to be a late addition in the transfer portal. We all know that's just not right. Ethically and morally, that's just not right. But the NCAA, they can't seem to get out their own way. As much as the players, in my opinion, I've said it on a previous episode, and I talked about the problem with the NCAA, in my opinion, about transfer portal being so easily to get into. You can transfer as many times. It's free agency every year. You got to re-recruit your team basically every year. The NCAA is not doing themselves any favors, because if you make this ruling back in January, all this gets, it's null and void. It's nothing to worry about here. And they decided, no, we're going to wait. We're going to make this ruling 6 months later. And now you're back into a pickle because players are suing the NCAA into oblivion, basically. If you sue the NCAA, you get the injunction to play, you're going to play soon because you put in an injunction that's basically saying get this as soon as possible, which means basically right now. And so now they put that in place. You have a hold on it. They're most likely going to get the case solved here fairly certainly quickly, but now you get to play without having to worry about anything. So yeah, it's tough. Like, the NCAA, they didn't do themselves any favors. As much as I can blame the players for the transfer and everything, I have to blame the NCAA because they're not doing anything about it. Just came out, some of the notes that came from the SEC's meeting. They said schools that violate the new sports rule that I just talked about of not allowing a professional player to come back and play, 50% season suspension for head coaches. Wow. 50% of that sport's annual operating budget, SEC voting privileges on business matters revoked. So if all that happens, the coaches basically, he's suspended half the year. That annual operating budget for that team, for that sport specifically, so whether it's basketball or football, 50% of that gets revoked, basically. And then your SEC voting privileges on the business matters, which matters the most of anything, that's revoked. So that's big news right there out of the SEC. So the SEC really isn't playing around with this, but like I said, it's the upper level, like the upper level management of the NCAA. They have nobody but themselves to blame because you open a door that honestly did not have to be open, because the players I just listed, none of them go to the NFL if they hear this news back in January. None of them. Absolutely none of them. They come back for their 5th year, go to another team. They get through the spring, the summer, the fall, and everything's copacetic. But now these guys come in, and now you have conferences have to now do damage control. Like, SEC making those big, 50% losing your operating budget for that specific sport. 50%, the coach gets suspended for 50% of the season, half the season, and then you can't vote on anything business matters. Now these now these conferences have to basically break away from the, what the NCAA, they're trying to get themselves away from the actual NCAA, which they're all a part of, and they're basically operating as their own, the Big Ten, the SEC. So I just feel like time and time again, the NCAA doesn't do themselves any favors, in my opinion. Just like I said, as much as I can blame the players, I have to blame the whole, like, everybody. Everybody has blame in this. Like, this is not oh, it's just, the players. It's not, oh, it's just the NCAA. Everybody has, some say in this, and everybody gets, the same part of the piece, the blame pot, basically. On that. Now I want to get into the second subject that I spoke of when we first started, and it's about Kevin Durant's comments and Tracy McGrady's comments about the NBA MVP meaning more than winning, a championship. Kevin Durant last week was on the Unguarded podcast, and he said that, MVPs, because it's only one a year, they matter, more than winning. He said, winning a championship, it means, it's really, you have to, rely on so much other things going on. You can't, a lot of times you really can't control that. It's out of your control. But what's in your control, you can't win the MVP. But also I probably would say you have to win as well. So that couldn't be out of your control as well, the winning part, because a lot of times the guy that gets voted for MVP, team is, winning team. And he says, you only get one. It's not one per team. It's not like it's an East and a West MVP. Like, in baseball, it's an AL MVP. But it's only one. It's one singular player gets voted the best player for that particular season every year. And like I said, I believe, Kevin Durant is my favorite player in the league, probably all time. And there's a two-sided part to this, in my opinion. Because both sides have such a, you have points that you can make. You can say you win a championship. It means so much, hey, I'm a winner. And, I won the ultimate goal that everybody wants. Me and my 11 to 12 other teammates, we did it. And nobody can ever take that away from me. But then you also look on the other side, dog, I just won MVP. The NBA was been around for 70, it's been 78, 79 seasons. I'm one of 79, seasonal winners, but one of because it's only been like 50 some odd MVPs in the league's history, because of, guys have won it multiple times. So you could say you're one of the few guys that have done it over the time. And that means a lot too, because let's be honest, like people always want to say, and go here, your legacy, it matters, yada, 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 how people view you, yada, yada, yada. Is that the reason why Bill Russell gets, such great, talk about him so great? Or was he just a darn good player? And I think, he won 11 championships, but then people would say, well, but he won it in the era, it was only a few teams, and this, that, and that, and that, and this. So if he didn't win it, would Bill Russell still be considered one of the greatest defensive players of all time, one of the greatest rebounds of all time? Absolutely. Absolutely he would, whether he got them 11 rings or not. Wilt Chamberlain has so many scoring records of scoring this many points in this amount of time. He just got a record. SGA just beat his 20 consecutive 20 points, in a game streak just this past year in the year 2026, a record that stood for 50 some odd years. Do people talk about him any differently because he only won one championship when he joined the Lakers and Jerry West and Elgin Baylor? Would people talk about Tim Duncan differently if he didn't win 5 championships in San Antonio? How about Akeem Olajuwon? Because the championships are it has always been, in my opinion, in any sport, the icing on top. Yes, you want to say, yeah, I won this many championships. I led my team to this many championships, yada, yada, yada. But it only matters for a few players. Robert Horry has 7 championships. Don't nobody care. And it's no disrespect to Robert Horry, but nobody cares about that. Nobody cares that Clyde Drexler won two championships. A championship in Houston. Like nobody says, well, you know, that made him better than Jordan at the time. Like no, like it only matters to a certain select group of people. Kevin Durant's in that group of people. That's why it is a little disheartening that he's saying, well, it don't matter, because the level that he's at, it does matter. Championships do matter when you're talking about all-time greats. It don't matter when you're talking about guys who are good, to really good players. And it's just being honest. Like you look at in the NBA, top players of all time, those championships matter to Michael Jordan because he's one of the greatest we've ever seen, if not the greatest. It matters for LeBron James because he's one of the greatest we've ever seen, if not the greatest. It matters for Kobe Bryant because Kobe wanted to be in that upper echelon of guys. It matters to guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because he was a great, great player. It matters to even, redacted Karl Malone. It matters to him because he was a great player. Didn't make great decisions off the court, but he was a great player. Wilt Chamberlain, like it mattered to those guys. You can't take away the greatness of their individual game because they're just that great. But that's the only people. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Shaq, like guys like that. It only mattered to those guys. Like if Jalen Brunson never would have run a ring with the Knicks, okay. One, they'd have said you weren't supposed to win with the Knicks because they hadn't won in 50 years. Winning it gave him a boost. Don't get me wrong. Like it probably boosted up in some all-time rankings, and for the Knicks, for Knicks fans, it probably boosted it up to all-time. Nick probably boosting it up to one or two above Walt Frazier, Patrick Ewing, Willis Reed. It probably vaulted him up there. If he just wins one, then thank you. Like appreciate you, Jalen Brunson. But Jalen Brunson's probably there's a great chance he's not going down as an all-time great player. Rings matter to Jokic, rings matter to Shea because they're on their trajectory. It mattered to Giannis because they're either already in the top 50 to top 30 players of all time. I would even say I think Shea is, in my opinion, already in the top 50. Jokic and Giannis are in the top 20 already. We all know LeBron's in the top 2. Kevin Durant's in the top 15. Steph Curry's in the top 20. Like for guys who are in that range, yes, like championships matter. But guess what? The reason why championships matter because they're just they're great players. Steph has 2 MVPs. You think Steph, do you think those MVPs matter to Steph? Absolutely. The NBA and the media said he was the best player in 2 singular seasons. For James Harden, you think those MVPs matter? Yes. He felt like he should have won it the year that the Russell Westbrook won it. Does he want to win a championship? Yeah. But an individual accolade to say you're the greatest at a singular thing, because they're not saying if you win a championship, yeah, you win a Finals MVP, but Andre Iguodala's won a Finals MVP. Tony Parker has won a Finals MVP. And Tony Parker's a really good player, Hall of Famer. Iguodala, really good player, most likely Hall of Famer. But did that mean that really was the best player on those teams? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, they were not the best players on that team. For that series, okay, but on that team, no. It's not even, not really close. So I get it from both sides. I get people that saying, "Oh, KD, this is why you ran Golden State and everything that KD gets, even though he's my favorite player, everything that he gets, a lot of times he has it coming for himself." But he's also giving you a kind of a look into how players really feel. And I'm going to be 100%. That's how a lot of players feel. Like Kevin Durant, in my opinion, I feel like he's the voice of the guys who don't want to come. I'm not going to come out and say it. I know Tatum wants to win an MVP. I know he wants. I know that's something he would want. Like if you make it to that level, just winning a championship, it's cool. But I want my first team All NBAs. I want you to say that I was one of the 5 best players in the league for that singular season. Then I'm getting my first team All NBAs. I want MVP recognition. I want to win the MVP. I want you to say I was the best player in a singular season, and I want to do it multiple times. So it's a two-sided thing, and I'm on the side of I can see both sides. I'm more on the side of championships matter to the greats. For that legacy talks only matter for the greats. This past year, like I said, Jalen Brunson won his championship. His legacy with the Knicks, that's great. I don't think he gets to the other side with those other names I gave you. The Shays, the Jokic, the Giannis, Bron, KD, Steph. I don't think he ever gets to that side. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think he ever gets to where that ring that he had mattered, on the other side of the spectrum of the top 50 players of all time. He's not getting over there. So I would go with, yes, NBA MVPs, they really matter. Like, that's a big deal. It's a big deal to be a professional player. You've been working on this all your life. And for them to come out, for the media to come out, fans, whoever, come out and say, you were the best player in this singular season and you won the MVP trophy. So, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please like, share, and subscribe if you do. And I will be back Friday because we have some games to preview this weekend for college football. Week 0, it is back. We finally get a little college football, so I'll be previewing all the games that are happening this Saturday. But until then, enjoy yourselves and each other.